Hey guys, so today I am doing a review slash first impression slash demo video on the new L'Oreal True Match Lumi Cushion foundation. Now, I'm going to be totally and 100% completely honest with you guys. I actually filmed this yesterday already, so this isn't necessarily my first impression, but for some reason the footage would not go on my laptop. It wouldn't import onto my laptop, so I had to film this again today. This is on the new L'Oreal Lumi Cushion Foundation. First things first is the packaging. So I absolutely love the packaging. It's really sleek, it's really nice, it's nice and compact and small, so you can take it with you if you're traveling. It's not gonna break, it's not glass, it's just plastic that's gonna stay. I love the rose gold with the white. It's just beautiful packaging. Like, this packaging could not get any better. It's amazing. So when you open it up, it looks like this. It has a mirror and a sponge, and this is the sponge that they give you to apply the foundation, and it sits on this little section right here, which then opens up and then reveals the foundation. And this is the foundation. But this foundation, this is a sponge, and basically it just has a whole bunch of foundation soaked into the sponge, and that is the packaging, which I absolutely love. I think the packaging's great. I think it's amazing. The price point for this foundation varies depending on where you go. I personally paid like $19 for mine because I got it at a drugstore. I try my absolute hardest not to buy makeup at an actual drugstore because they charge so much more than like if you were to go to like Walmart, Target, like somewhere like that. They charge so much. It's ridiculous. So I try not to go to an actual drugstore, but I went to so many places. I went to 2 different Targets, a Walmart. I went to, sometimes like Bed Bath & Beyond will sell it. I went to Ulta. Nobody had this foundation. Everybody was sold out. So Walgreens was the only place I could find it, and I spent about $18 to $19 on this. It was like 18 and some change. But I do believe that if you go to Walmart, it's like $14.99, so you are gonna save like a couple of bucks, like three to four bucks. So yeah, so the price point is, it's good for, I mean, it's good because if you're thinking about like, you know, going to Sephora and spending $40 on a foundation, I mean, $18 is a lot cheaper than that, or $15 is a lot cheaper than that, depending on where you buy it from. But for drugstore, it is a little bit pricey for drugstore. I love the concept of this because it's just kind of like easy. Like, you don't have to have a pump. It doesn't have a problem where it doesn't have a pump. Like, it's not like a liquid that like comes without a pump and you have to pour it. Like, I love the packaging because it's really easy to kind of get the product out. It comes in 3 different tones. So you have your warm, neutral, and cool tones, and there is 5 shades in each. The one that I chose is in 2. I chose the neutral one because I personally, like, sometimes I feel like the warm is way too pink and the cool is way too yellow, and like I can't ever get like a good in between. So I chose the neutral, and this is the lightest shade that comes in the neutral, and I'm pretty fair, but it matches me like spot on. It's really good. So I'm very happy with the color of this. It's so amazing. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it for right now. If you guys want to see how this wears throughout the day, because I am going to do a wear test, then please just keep on watching. Also, the clip right after this is going to be a demo on how it applies, so you guys will be able to see how it applies to my face and the different techniques that I use and the different techniques that I suggest to you to use. So yeah, if you guys want to see how I like this foundation and how this foundation ends up working for me, then please continue to watch. Okay, so I am just going to start by applying the foundation with just the little pad that it has in it. So the foundation opens up like this, and this part right here is where the pad lies, the little sponge lies. And then you open this part up to reveal the actual cushion foundation underneath, and there's just a sponge with a whole bunch of foundation soaked into it underneath. So I am just going to take the sponge and just kind of press it in to the foundation. And if you can see, it gives a good amount of product straight away. And I'm basically just going to tap this on my face. So far, the color seems to be pretty spot on. I would consider this like a light coverage foundation. I don't know if it's just the sponge maybe that's making it light coverage, or if that's just the foundation, but from what I'm seeing so far, it looks like a light coverage. And actually, maybe it's more of like a light to medium, because it is covering some stuff up, but you can still see redness and freckles and some of my imperfections like around my face. So this is the foundation after one layer. So far from what I can see, it definitely did even out my skin tone. It looks pretty good and a lot like real skin, which I really like. But I still see a lot of my freckles and redness and like some uneven skin down here. So it didn't cover up everything, but it did even out my skin tone pretty nicely. I am going to put on a second layer. With this sponge, I'm going to try a second layer with this sponge to see how it builds with that sponge, and then I may go in with a different technique in a minute, but let's just put on a second layer with the sponge that they provided. So it did build up a little bit more on this side. I think you guys can tell on the camera than with this sponge, but I'm gonna now go in with a Real Techniques sponge and see if this will build the coverage anymore, and if using a different sponge makes any difference. Okay, so I can definitely tell a difference in the way that the Real Techniques sponge applied the foundation. It went on a lot more even. It gave me a ton more coverage. And it just looks so smoothed out and nice. Like, this is the side that I doubled up with the Real Techniques sponge, and this is the side that I just used the sponge that it came with. The problem that I have with this sponge also is that, like, it's very uncomfortable to, like, use. So I have to put 3 fingers in the sponge, which is okay, but, like, it kind of, like, slips as you're applying. So, like, your fingers kind of just slowly slip out of it, and it's kind of annoying because you have to readjust. So I definitely like the way that the Real Techniques sponge applies this better. I'm just going to use this sponge to apply a second layer on this side of my face, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. Okay, you guys, so this is the foundation after I have put on 2 layers of the foundation and the second layer using the Real Techniques sponge. So I definitely think that I like it a lot so far. It looks really, really nice. It definitely is very, very dewy, so I am going to have to put on probably a powder, even though I do have dry skin. I just don't think that if I tried to apply like bronzer or blush or anything like that over top of this right now, I feel like it would just kind of pick up the product underneath and kind of like splotch. So I am going to set this with a powder, but so far it looks really nice. Definitely has a really nice buildable coverage. The coverage built up really, really nicely. So like it gave me pretty much a full coverage foundation in the end. It can be a full coverage if you build it, which is really nice. And the color that I have also matches my skin really, really well. So I am going to go and put on the rest of my makeup. I'm going to put on concealer powder, and I'm going to come back with an update for you guys to tell you guys how the concealer and the powder went on over the foundation and how everything looks after I have the rest of my makeup on. It is now currently 11:52, so almost 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm going to go do that, and I will be back in probably a couple of hours to update you guys on how the foundation is wearing throughout the day. Okay, you guys, so it is now almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I really hope you guys can see that. I honestly don't know. It says 4:57, but it's almost 5 o'clock. I've had this on since 12, so it's been about 5 hours. So just a quick rundown on what I did after I applied the foundation with concealer and powder I used. I did use the Maybelline Master Conceal, which blended out really, really nicely over top of the foundation. So I really like the fact that the concealer blended in really well. And then the powder that I used was MAC's Studio Fix powder. This is just their pressed powder. So I used that powder over top of the foundation. So the powder applied a little cakey, although that powder does apply a little cakey, so I don't know if that's the foundation or the powder, but I'm going to say it's more of the powder than the foundation. But I will say that so far after 12 hours, it has splotched off just a little bit, like right here and then a little bit on my nose, as well as it has settled into some of like my fine lines. So like right here, like some of my smile lines, and then like right here in my chin, and I have like number 11s on my forehead. I was just talking to my mom about this. Oh my gosh. It kind of settled into there. But besides that, after 5 hours, it's looking pretty good. For being a luminous foundation, I mean, I did set my entire face because, and usually I don't because I have dry skin, but I set my entire face because it is very, very luminous. And I feel like if I don't set my whole face, like everything's just kind of like come off after I try to like apply it, like my blush and my bronzer and contour and all of that. So I did set my whole face. It is actually like the powder, I don't know if it's like maybe the powder has worked really, really well to keep it matte and not get too dewy, but I feel like it has just enough shine to it. Like you can still see a little bit of shininess and like not even shiny, but like dewiness, but it's not like too much, you know what I mean? So, so far I am liking it. I mean, it is a little tiny bit cakey after you have to put powder and concealer on, but that's kind of by choice. So if you didn't wear a powder over top of it, I feel like it would look a little bit better, but it does look great. Like when you first apply it, it looks really, really good, and it doesn't really look that cakey, just in certain areas. So I am liking it so far, and yeah, so it is now 5 o'clock, and I am going to update you guys in a couple more hours. I think that's all I have to say for right now. I'm really liking it so far. It's lasting really well. I was kind of worried about how long it was going to last because it's a luminous finish. Sometimes I feel like they don't last that long. Like for instance, the liquid one, like the actual L'Oreal True Match Lumi foundation, this one, like the actual Lumi, this one, I feel like doesn't last that long, so I was really kind of worried about this, but this one's lasting like a good amount of time. It's been 5 hours and it hasn't really budged, so I'm really happy with that. But yeah, I will be back in a couple more hours. I'm going to try to wear this as long as I can today, but I'll be back in a couple more hours to tell you guys and like update you guys on how it is wearing. So I'll see you guys in a few hours for me and a few seconds for you. Okay, you guys, so this is going to be the final update for this foundation. It is currently 9:40ish at night, so I've had this foundation on for almost 10 hours now. And let me give you my update, my last update for the night. So it doesn't look horrible for having it on for 10 hours, but I will say if you're gonna wear it this long, or you, not even if you're gonna wear it this long, I kind of wouldn't suggest you to wear it this long. Only because it fades off in certain areas. So like right here on my forehead, it's looking splotchy. Up here on my forehead, it looks splotchy. On my nose, it looks splotchy. Like around here, it's splotchy, and it also creased really bad around my nose, like really bad around my nose. And then it also is coming off around this area and my chin. As far as the oil goes, as far as like, because it is a dewy and a luminous foundation, it did produce a little bit of oil. I think the MAC Fix or Studio Fix powder that I used really helped to keep in a lot of the oils, because like I told you guys, I did this yesterday and I was a lot more oily yesterday when I used the Maybelline Fit Me powder to set this than I am today, and that was only after like 7 hours, I think. So I am like producing a little bit of oil. Like I have quite a bit around here and like around my nose, and I'm starting to get a little bit right here on my forehead, and I have dry skin. So if you have oily skin, I would say maybe be careful with it, just because if I'm producing oils, and I have dry skin, you may produce oils. If you have oily skin, like you're pretty much prone to produce oils. So be kind of careful with that. Just because, you know, I don't know, like I'm pretty sure you don't want to be oily throughout the day. I don't mind a little bit of this oily look or dewy look because my skin is so dry. So I don't mind a little bit of that oiliness coming through, but I can understand that if you have oily skin, you may not like that at all. But I mean, it did do pretty well considering I have had it on for almost 10 hours. I mean, for luminous foundation, after I set it, it actually stayed pretty matte with the powder that I used. But like I said yesterday, after 7 hours, I had quite a bit more oil, so it may depend on the powder that you're using. One more thing I want to test before I completely close this out is I am going to try to test and put a little bit more powder on top to see how it would work throughout the day. If, say, you had oily skin and you really like the way the foundation looked, but you do produce oils throughout the day and you need to kind of touch up, I want to see if it's going to get cakey if you have to touch it up throughout the day. And I'm just going to blot around where I got a little bit of oil. Okay, so from what I see after having to set it again with a powder, so say you have oily skin and you want to set this with a powder throughout the day, honestly, I wouldn't suggest it. If you want to wear this as like a long-lasting foundation or wear a powder with it, I wouldn't. Or like if you wanted to wear it for a long time and you have to touch up a couple times during the day, I wouldn't suggest it, only because I do feel that after I just set it with powder again, although it did make it matte, it like added a lot of cakiness to my face and it looks horrible, to be honest. So I don't really like the way that it sets. A second time, if you have to touch up throughout the day, I really wouldn't suggest you touching this up because it does get a little cakey, as well as when you use the brush, it kind of also picks up some of the product underneath and leaves you with even more splotchiness. But if you're gonna wear this for, I would say, like maybe 6 hours, is probably like a good time to, like a good time span to wear it. Anything over 6 hours, maybe 7 hours, I wouldn't really suggest, because I do feel like it starts to get a little cakey, or not cakey, I do feel like it starts to get a little oily. It starts to wear down in certain places on the face and then kind of starts to splotch just a little bit, but not anything where it's like horribly like noticeable, but it's still splotched just a little bit. But for the most part though, it did a good job at staying on, and it had a good staying power. One other con that I would say is this transfers like crazy. This transfers so bad. I swipe my hand right here and like, first of all the foundation is missing. It did take all of the foundation off of my face, as well as transfers onto my fingers, or if you're using your phone, it'll like seriously get on your phone. Like say I'm trying to talk on my phone, I mean, there's foundation on my phone. So I would just kind of be cautious of that. But besides that, I do think it is a good foundation, but only for maybe a shorter amount of time, and maybe if you're not really going to be doing anything active or doing too much, so maybe just running a couple of errands. I'm sorry, my dog is walking around everywhere, but my camera's about to die, so I'm trying to finish this out. But maybe if you just need to run a couple of errands and like do like something low-key, it's a good foundation. I do like it. I just don't know if I would recommend it for like a long wearing foundation, which it doesn't claim to be. But yeah, that was my little review and first impression demo of the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Cushion Foundation. I hope you guys like this video. If you guys want to see more first impression videos from me, please let me know, because I love filming these videos. These are probably like some of my favorite videos to film. They're just so informative, and I feel like you get so much information packed into one video, and it's just really nice to see how other people, how the foundation works on other people and how products work on other people. I know these are some of my favorites videos to watch of other people's, because I just love to see how things work for other people. So I hope you guys like this video. Please, leave me comments down below. Give me some requests of things that you would like to see next, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.